What's up, baby?
Not too much, my boo-boo.
Not too much.
How are you today?
Wonderful. It's Saturday afternoon.
Beautiful Saturday afternoon.
Beautiful. And we've had a great morning already.
Yep.
And we took a walk outside and got all the beverages possible here. And I'm here with you with a new hairdo again.
Another new hairdo. 3 weeks, 3 hairdos. That's right.
What are you going to show up next week with?
This is going to be it for a minute. I have to grow this back out. When I took out my cornrows, my hair was like way too thin. It definitely ripped out a huge amount of my hair. I was like I have a mirror in the shower, and after I took out the cornrows, I was like seeing a lot of scalp when my hair was wet, especially. And then I would get out of the shower, and I normally had like some nice flow and fluff in the back, and it was just like stringy. I looked like Kid Rock or something, or like Joe Dirt. It was like not good.
You weren't very self-conscious for like that week that the braids were out until like your next hair appointment. You're like, oh God, like
my hair was
I need
like
a hat.
so
How does my hair look?
Even in a hat, my hair was like really stringy and gross looking.
Yeah.
So
I had to put in a ponytail for you.
I wanted to continue with the cornrows, but after I realized how much hair it pulled out, I had to go a little bit shorter. But I actually really like where it's at right now. I'm digging this, and it'll give me a little bit of time to grow it back out, get a little bit thicker, and then who knows when I can get back to the rose, because that was a look.
It was a look. I
dude.
felt like sad that night when I was like unbraiding them and taking them out, and obviously being as gentle as I possibly could to not rip out your hair.
Yeah, because they turned you on so much. You were so horny for the cornrows. Everybody was horny for the cornrows. Everybody was horny for them.
Oh my
Myself
God.
included.
You were horny for yourself?
Hell yeah.
That's some self-love right there.
Typically am.
Well, anyway, so that's a hair update. What else you got going on?
Man, since the last episode, which like again I was pretty honest and pretty vulnerable, and I even watched it back this week, and I could tell like even in the episode that I was still going through it, and quite frankly, like today I definitely still am. Like I'm not really sure exactly where I'm gonna go with what I want to say today or what I have to say today. I'm still definitely working through a lot of those like emotions that I was going through last time. And we'll get into that more and more today, I think, with the topic of discussion that we have. But I definitely was watching the last episode, and I could see like how just like, you know, less focused, I guess I was, like a little bit less focused than normal. And
you were going back to your notes a lot,
I was
which
going
like
back,
you don't ever do, really.
Yeah, and I was just, my train of thought, and even the way I was expressing myself, I could just see that it wasn't as clear as it should have been, because I wasn't having clear thoughts at the time. I was definitely still working through a lot of it, and again, I think I still am, so we'll see how that plays out today. But with that being said, like certainly continuing to feel more and more of that pressure ease up to some extent, because I hired an actual personal assistant now. So my other personal assistant, who if you've been listening to the podcast, that's been a story in and of itself. He's still going to help me. I'm still helping him. He's just not going to get paid for it anymore because
he's getting paid with your service.
He's getting paid in wisdom.
Yes, exactly.
I'm getting paid with
therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
Of some sort.
So like he's still going to be here, and I'm sure there'll be far more to come with that, and I still am going to make sure that I get him where he needs to be. But I did need to actually hire like a real personal assistant who could actually get things done. No offense. So,
but isn't it interesting that you had that experience with him? Like you hired him for some reason. You wanted to help him. Obviously, he's not the person. And like we posted that video of like me like you staging the house, and like through that we actually found like this virtual assistant who's like gonna work with us, who
seems really great. I'm really stoked to work with her at this point.
How it happens.
So that's gonna offload a lot of things that I shouldn't be dealing with, don't want to deal with. She's also gonna be able to help get new things blooming so that I have, you know, more streams of revenue and other projects like underway while I'm managing the stuff that I need to manage, that I need to be involved in. I mentioned like last time, like this podcast. I love it. It is a part of my purpose. It's a part of what I want to put out there. The feedback we get is great, but it's not a money maker for sure. And it's, I don't know, like I'm sure it'll drive leads or something eventually, but right now it isn't. And that's a lot of energy that I have to put into that. So now instead of me putting time into it, the energy I'm going to be putting into it is financial energy in the form of somebody else taking it on. So I got the personal assistant. Somebody else is going to be cutting these clips. And in the last I hate when that
I
AC
know.
kicks on. And in the last week or two, he's done a very good job of those clips. So really like what he did last week. That is very expensive to hire that guy, but it is what it is. We just got to handle it for the time being, and if we have to make adjustments there, then we make adjustments. But at least it's freeing up my time more and more.
Exactly. Like you were putting so much energy into that, and now like the energy of like in the form of money has to go towards that so that you can free up your time to now focus on like the product. Like it's all in here. And you need to get it out.
Because
and that's what you've been working on.
And I've mentioned in previous episodes, like I ran up against a wall with all of my clients earlier this year, which is a good problem to have. But then I wanted to figure out how to scale it and provide a, repeatable program, a repeatable product, something where I'm not building it as I'm delivering it, and I actually know exactly not just where we are, but where we're going from start to finish, and I'm not building it like in real time. So this past couple weeks, I've put more effort into actually building that product out. Now, I've been building that product for a very long time in a variety of other ways. Earlier this year when I was writing Unfuckwithable, which at the time, the plan was to make that a book, and the plan is still to make that a book in the long run. I have a 60-page outline or whatever it is for that book, and it breaks down my entire philosophy, my entire practice, the value of each practice that I have, from fitness to mindfulness, gratitude, purpose, planning, etc. And while I wanted to turn that into a 200-page book, or more, 250, 300-page book. Now what I'm able to do is actually take that, and instead of making it a book and just making it something for somebody to read, I'm making it a course, a practical course that you can go through over the course of 6 months. So I've been putting that down like really systematically on paper, each of those components week to week. What does it look like? What are my deliverables? And then
Which is very important.
Which is, of course, actual deliverables.
That's something we're going to discuss.
Exactly. Having an actual thing to present to somebody with an actual like long-term plan.
This is why you should pay me for this.
Yep. And that's not to say, like I should say, when in my personal training with my personal training clients, I have been doing that for so long that I know what the plan was, but I didn't like build out everything ahead of time. I had to, even though I knew where we were going with the programming, I still had to like build it in real time, which when you're trying to take on new clients, onboard new clients, train new and existing clients, and renew and check in with all of these people, you can't be building the product at the same time. It's just not doable.
And that's where it's going to be nice to have that virtual assistant to go in and like make a very good program for you to be able to be like, okay, this person's here, instead of you just, I don't know how you're doing
essentially
it.
Building out the system so that I'm not doing it all manually, like day to day. Because what I did, like people say, you could be a business owner, you could be a business operator. An owner is the guy who works on the business. The operator is the guy who works in the business. And of course, I've been working in the business, like basically an employee of myself, more or less. And what I need to do is move more into that owner and working on the business position, at least for now.
More creative with it,
at least for now, yeah. And
expand it.
What that allows me to do is when I do have the course built out and the program built out, it allows me to be more present with each individual client because I know exactly what we're talking about that week. I know exactly where they are in this program. It's far more systematic, and it's the same thing over and over again, and not quite as, I guess, like put together on the fly. So like I've been putting that all down on paper, and I'm so happy with what I have. Like I've said that when I wrote Unfuckwithable, I was proud of it, and I am so proud of it. And I think at that moment in my life, I was getting like direct like knowledge almost from source. And I was being so inspired on my walks. Like I was getting idea after idea after idea. And that's when I was really feeling it. I was in a full-on creative mode. That's when I was like really being crazy and like dancing in the streets and stuff like on my walks, because I was like truly like channeling something special. I got it on paper, and now that like manifesto, manual, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, is now going to be transcribed into a practical course that, again, is going to be over the course of 6 months will be the initial component. And then the next 6 months will be really implementing those things that we learned in the first 6 months for the full year. So I do see it being a full year course. And then with that would be like the really intensive one-on-one coaching experience. From there, I can break those out into smaller, more bite-sized, like 6 week at a time courses that I can sell one to many, and doesn't require time from me, that people can kind of like implement on their own without as much one-on-one coaching like from me directly.
So you're saying like the 6 weeks would be like depending on like what the person feels like they need? Okay.
Yeah, so like my intensive course is, again, it's the fitness, it's the mindfulness, it's the gratitude, it's purpose, planning. There's lessons that are incorporated in that too, and there's affirmations. That's the other one I'm neglecting. So affirmations too. And all of those work together, but they also, like, in chunks build different mental muscles: discipline, resilience, willpower, focus, etc. What I would do is, we have the intensive one that is all of those practices, and they all work together, and it's like my real like flagship product essentially. And then you could break those various components out into more specific, like short little boost trainings, like you see a lot of like online coaches do, where they have like their, for example, like one trainer might have like their booty workout that's like a 6 week booty workout program, and another guy has like
the
an arms.
6-pack leading up to summer thing.
The 6-pack program.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be that. Please, I'm not going to be putting
No.
out booty or 6-pack programs. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're not putting that down, but
Yeah.
we got bigger things.
We got bigger things.
We got life-changing things.
Yeah, I'm trying to change. I'm not trying to. I have, and I will continue to change people's lives with the program that I offer. That goes well beyond having a big butt. Although having a big butt is awesome.
I mean, you can get a big butt, but also get your mind
Yeah,
right, too.
exactly. Like yeah. So that's where I'm at right now, and putting that together now, because I have a little more freedom by not doing all that day-to-day stuff and all that like really menial tasks that the personal assistant is going to take on, that I thought my other personal assistant was going to take on. But again, I can't blame him. I went out on a limb to try to get him where he needed to be.
You were doing crash course with him, and he needs...
Yeah. And I don't have the capacity to do a crash course on like helping him in his life and training him on how to be my personal assistant.
Yeah.
It's got to be one or the other. So he's still going to get time from me on a weekly basis, but I can't rely on him to get the things done that I need to get done. And by offloading that to a full-time, I'm going to say real personal assistant. Sorry, buddy. A real personal assistant.
Yeah.
I now can have that a little more creative free space where I can sit down and like really knock this program out. And again, I'm so stoked with what I have so far. I shared a lot of it with you earlier this week. Yeah. And the way I'm systematically going about all of the various components over the course of 6 months and working people through the entire philosophy, and like kind of, again, reprogramming your mind. We could say it's a shift in mindset. We can call it reprogramming your mind. We can call it like building new neural pathways. You can call it shifting your perspective. There's so many different ways that you could put it. And I guess when it comes to my marketing, I need to nail in on what exactly I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. But the one I've been working on or the one I've been thinking about the most is like helping people become the person they were meant to be. That's the way I want to think about it right now, is helping you out there become the person that you were meant to be. You're not supposed to know who you were meant to be, but you have to find yourself, and I have a system to become the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, to have control over all those areas of your life. This way you can cut out the noise. You could find what you really want out of life, who you really want to be, who you actually are. Which again is like, that's a hard task to undertake, and it's not going to come externally. It's not going to come from out there in the world. We've said this before. Your purpose isn't going to come find you. You have to find your purpose, and purpose is inside of yourself, and you have to rework the way you're thinking about yourself, your day, your life, to do that. And that's what this system is going to help people do. Become the person they were meant to be. Sorry.
No, that was good. But like the purpose, like, or you, like, cannot be taken away. Like once you find that, like It's not any external force can take it away once you do
Exactly.
find it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful once you find it.
And once you find it, you just go, you just can't get knocked off that course. And it's
and like you can
wild.
take everything like external. Fine.
Yep.
I love it.
So
You were in like that flow state with the book, and then you got like really kind of bogged down and felt like you were in the business, in it, and thick through it. Like couldn't see anything outside of it. And now you're pulling away, you're offloading.
And and I'll just say that like cycle has already happened like 3 times this year. Just about. It's been like an interesting. And I said last week, I think that's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get more and more used to it, and I'm going to be able to see what's happening a little bit ahead of time. Where it's kind of like flow creative state. I have a lot of like time to think through like really creative big picture stuff and expand the idea. Then it goes into like actually putting that stuff into play. I get so crammed with tasks and meetings and things that I have to do in a day that I'm jammed up, both like literally like in every way possible. Like I mean that literally and figuratively. Like my calendar is jammed up. I am jammed up mentally. I'm like going from thing to thing to thing, and I don't have that space to like breathe and create. Then I mean like obviously what happened a couple weeks ago has only happened this one time, but like that was a pretty extreme example where now I have to go, okay, like time to like free up this time. But now it's like the way I free up that time is through spending money essentially.
Yeah. But I think, again, we're going to discuss this, is you're putting that money in towards that because you've already realized like, okay, the podcast, these things I want to be working on, but like it's taking too much of my energy. So now I'm going to give the money towards that so I can build what I know I need to provide to people, what I can give value to. So now you're able to focus on like what's in here. Because you were bogged down too much. And now you are in a good like flow state.
I'm getting there.
There are little moments, but
no, it's like when I was earlier this year, when I was making, when I had all the clients coming in, and I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that this is going so well so fast. And I was writing the book, and I was like bopping around doing things. We started the podcast, which I was obviously thrilled about, like getting that off the ground, because this is something that I've wanted to do for so long. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, look at all the growth. This is incredible, blah, 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 blah. Booming and beaming. And now it's not to say that there hasn't been growth. There's been tons of it, and just in a variety of other ways. And I said last week, it's kind of like I've been putting out an immense amount of energetic resources in a variety of different ways, like physical energy, mental energy, financial energy, time, everything that all of these things are energies, and I am expending them tremendously. And while I am getting a certain amount of love and a certain amount of value and a certain amount of money and a certain amount of whatever back from the universe and from people in my life, there is like a pretty significant imbalance that I'm not generally used to.
Yeah, I would say like you're uncomfortable, I feel like, in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with that imbalance. You're like, okay, I'm putting a lot out, like when is it going to kind of give a little bit?
I'm waiting for like a wave to come back, and like not having that wave is just not something that I'm familiar with, but I know that it will come eventually, and it's a matter of me on a almost, I want to say day-to-day basis, but we talked about this earlier, like on a almost minute-to-minute basis, reminding myself like, no, you stay the course. You this was the plan. This isn't outside of what you were anticipating. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, you got to deal with it. And like the reality is that at any moment, something huge will happen. Not can happen, will happen. And like then you're set up for the rest of your life. And like I have to keep putting that energy out. But the conversation that we've been having lately is like, we got to find that time to fill your cup and take that time for yourself. And
how have you? And like so you noticed you need to make a change. You made the changes. You got the virtual assistant. You have someone working the reels. Like you're now able to be in more of a flow state with the coursework. But how have you like filled your cup?
I don't know if I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I have.
Have you been able to like give yourself any time in like the week?
last night we had a few minutes that we got to spend together, and I just like by 10 o'clock I just like passed out on the couch. I had a big ass dinner, a really awesome big ass dinner with you. Even we were out on a walk in the. Was I on a walk with you in the evening? Yeah, we went on a little walk.
Yeah, we went to the.
Yeah, that's right. We went to the park. We went to the park and we read, which was nice, and that was.
Finished your fourth book.
Finished my fourth book in less than 4 weeks.
Hell yeah.
And like that was nice, but as we were walking home, I was like, I am so tired. And we went, we showered, we had dinner, and then I was like on the couch and I just like knocked out.
Yeah.
So like I guess what is that? Is that giving back to me? I don't really know. Is that filling my cup? I'm not so sure.
I think like in the moment you have to recognize like this week when you sat on the couch, had your lunch, like enjoyed like a piece of like just sitting and taking that time and like focusing on what you're doing. I feel like you're like always working like while you're doing things. And you said to me this week, you're like, yeah, I actually like my computer was next to me, but I actually like sat and had my lunch and enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it's like
I've had that moments, more and more like lately where I've had like a couple minutes, but yeah, like I don't think I've done a good enough job of it. Mm-hmm. And I think like the reality is I'm probably part of the problem, and I'm thinking about this right now, is like my expectation of what I want is one thing, and it's like my big picture goal. Mm-hmm. Short Jack Tony Robbins. That's where I want to be. That like and it's funny, I was talking to a friend yesterday. We were talking about, I was helping him with his like scheduling and planning and tasks, and I saw that as an opportunity. So like this is actually a very good example of when I'm saying I'm putting out a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. Is a few weeks ago I had a buddy who he kind of needs some help like with goal setting generally, because he kind of bops from like goal to goal to goal, and he doesn't really he never like writes it down. Mm-hmm. So as a result, like he gets easily distracted by other things, and he says one thing is what he wants to accomplish, but then just like a few months later it's like something else. And now like that becomes in some ways a waste of time, or at least it can be seen like a waste of time, because he's just like attacking whatever he wants to attack that day. Mm-hmm. And like he never actually like gets anywhere because his direction is moving so rapidly that he's never actually like getting to any one place. So he's just kind of like meandering around. And as a result, like he says that his work schedule is what he called dialed, but everything else isn't dialed. And the way I framed it was like, if your work schedule is dialed, but like your other stuff isn't dialed, and your work schedule isn't dialed. Mm-hmm. I mean, because like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. We've said that before. And I don't look at my work as my work. I look at like my life as my life, and everything is a part of my life. So as important as it is to have my work schedule, it's important to have my workout schedule. It's important to have my time with you schedule. It's important to have my social calendar and all of that. And what that's doing in a lot of ways is it's first off, like, and I'm again like continuously like working through this, like it makes everything kind of feel like work, because everything's on the calendar now and I'm cramming it all in. So that's one thing. But and like I'm obviously taking it to like a pretty extreme like example. But like he was trying to like wants to figure out how to be a little bit more goal oriented, and then once you have that goal, like how do you put it into like a calendar and a to-do list and stay on task. That's something that I've been very good at. Yeah. It's something that's a part of my program as well, is the planning component, because like once you have a goal and you have steps that you have to take in that direction, having a plan for it is critical. And like your day is your plan, your calendar is your plan, your to-do list is your plan to get to your goal, because every day you should be making progress in that direction. That's the way I look at it, at least. So we sat down and I spent over 2 hours with him working through like some of what I think like big picture he needs to be thinking about in terms of like his life and in terms of like his vision for himself. I said that like he needs to like be more clear and write down his goals and his purpose and what he wants out of life. This way he's not changing it every single moment. Because like if he doesn't, the problem is not that he's even changing the goal. It's okay to change the goal. You need to know that your goal is changing, I think, is like really what's critical. And if it's not down on paper, you don't even remember what your goal was last week. And now your goal today is as fleeting as that other one. And again, that's what leads to like a bunch of wandering and like unfocused like activity. Sure, yeah. So you could be really productive, or you could be really like active without being really productive. And he wants to be more productive. That was 2 hours
That's
of
like
my...
a really important point.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
Now, like you can be like, I'm doing all these things, but like, what are you producing?
Yeah.
Out of it?
Yep.
Are you producing to get to that goal that you're
Yeah.
trying to get to?
And
Yeah.
like another thing was like for me, when I'm like in the moment like I was a few weeks ago, where I like hit a wall, one of the problems I was having, and one of the reasons why I was having that physical reaction was because it's like I am taking a lot of action today, but I'm not. And it's not to say that I'm not being productive. I'm just being productive in the same circle over and over and over again. And I don't have like the way of like growing and expanding to the next thing because I'm spending so much time on day-to-day stuff that is just the same thing over and over again. I need to have the free time, that growth time, that creative time to expand, like put a program in place, put a product in place. So then that's, again, like something that I talked about with him yesterday. So all of this is to say, he reached out to me directly to have this conversation. It's something that I like to talk about. It's something that I can provide value in, and it's something I know I can help him with. It's also something that I am putting in my actual coaching program right now as a key piece of like what I'm delivering, helping you be the person that you're meant to be. So, all of it is useful for a variety of reasons, and it is something that makes me feel good, and I am getting something back from it in a way where like I'm learning from it. I'm seeing what resonates with him. I'm going to get his feedback and see like, is this something that he can take and use? And then like, if it resonates and he can apply it and it becomes valuable, then now I know that it's like a part, like it works for the program. But like in the moment, like that's all stuff that is so like down the line in terms of when that pays off. It doesn't pay off until like this whole program is completed and I sign my first client on it, essentially. Right now, it's 2 hours of my afternoon on a Friday helping him get like his calendar in order.
Right. But like you should also take it in the sense of like, what can I gain from this
I know,
also?
I
Like
know.
there's so much value in like, especially with like a friend who trusts you to be able to be like, hey, like this is my vision. This is what I had. This is my idea of how I can help you with this.
Yeah.
Let's go. And like he's entrusting you to do that with him.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's like an opportunity for you to take.
And I like it. And I don't want to seem like I'm not grateful for it because I am. I'm grateful for that he asked. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to find the time on my calendar to do it. I'm grateful that I'm going to learn from it. I really am.
I think you made the time.
Yeah, I did. I always make the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing.
I don't know. I think it's a little
but like, I will say that, and like, this is not, I want people to ask me for help.
Of course.
This is the mode that I'm in right now. I'm in build mode. I am in build mode, and build mode means you expend resources. I still feel, at least like over the course of that 2 hours, I feel like I expended more energy than I took back in.
Again, but I think big picture you have to look at
I
like
know.
I'm expending my energy and know like he's getting something from it. I'm gonna like eventually I'm gonna get my benefit of this. I'm gonna see his growth. I'm gonna see him hit his goals and be like, shit, what I'm coming up with works.
And when I see him, it's not like sitting there and him like just like listening to it and taking notes. Like that like is in some ways rewarding, but I won't be rewarded until I see like his outcome and his results. And like that, again, it's down the line. And like, that's everything I'm saying today is exactly that, which is right now. Cause like that is one meeting, that's 1 2 hour meeting that I had this week, but that happens a dozen times a week, if not more. At this point. And I'm not even counting like my current clients because they paid me for it. So that's totally different story. Like I'm getting actual like real return from that. I'm not counting those clients. No. I'm talking about like I have like a dozen things like that every single week where it's a lot of energy going out for a delayed return in the future. This podcast included in that.
Yeah.
So and it's like I will be happy when I see somebody from this, like somebody listen to this podcast and they go, hey, the thing that you said, I started doing that and it worked. Like that's going to make me happy.
Of course.
So that's where I'm at right now is like, I am in build mode. I am in expend mode. I'm in pour out of my own cup mode. And I'm like, I know that gratification and that, the rewards and all the energy in the universe is going to come flooding back to me at some point. Like I genuinely know it.
Yep.
I just have to remind myself again, moment to moment, like it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. It's going to pay off.
It will.
Yeah. Was that what I was talking about? I don't even remember what the question
I
was.
don't know. I just got to let you flow with it.
Yeah,
Though.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
No, obviously this is what's on my mind right now. Like you can tell it's something that's very,
of
very
course.
much
I mean,
on my
it's
mind
definitely what we have been discussing a lot in the past few days. And honestly, the past couple of weeks have just been that conversation of, and this is what we're going to kind of focus on today is like the value versus like chasing the dollar, like the immediate dollar.
Yep. Yeah.
So we can roll into that conversation if you like.
Yeah.
So I was discussing with someone this past weekend about what that exact conversation. It's just so funny how like the universe lines everything up. Like I'm in this moment, I'm talking with this person. You and I have been discussing providing value with love, not going into a decision out of fear or money. And it's such an important point of like, just if you're doing something out of love and you're wanting to facilitate and help someone and give them some value, that the universe and that money will come to you.
Yeah.
And I believe that's very important and something that this person and I were discussing, like you kind of see people just chasing after that money and how it's like sad and you kind of like, they're losing their purpose. They're losing why they're doing it because it's just like, well, I'm going to make this decision because it's going to give me the money the quickest. Mm-hmm. And so just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, because I mentioned last week that I had a couple friends and two people that I have respect for and people that are actually like, I not just like one guy is like a particularly close friend who I got a ton of love for. And I respect.
And he's super supportive
of course, incredibly supportive. Mm-hmm. Very few people are not supportive.
Yeah.
So, but like he's very supportive. He's one of the guys who's been like in my corner, like from the very beginning with all of this. And another guy who I've become, more tight with recently, I would say, and I see him as like a really like very capable, very cool guy who has got a lot of value to bring to the table. And they were both saying essentially in two separate conversations that my business should be focused on sales right now. I should be looking to get new clients. I could build the product like as I'm offering it to them and as I'm offering it to my clients, and that I should just be in like market, sell mode to get revenue. And that as a services business, I should not be losing money. I should be making money. And like, to some extent, I understand where they're coming from. That's the way that most organizations do things. Like that's the way that most, and like especially like that's the more like masculine mentality is like sell, and then figure it out later. And like I get that. I think for most people that's probably a necessity actually, because you don't usually like most people kind of go into a services business with not a ton of capital and they don't have a lot of money in the bank or money in reserves. So they are in like sell mode and then they figure it out from there and then they build it. But like the reality is that is what I did earlier this year. I did that.
Yep.
And this is almost a repeat from the last episode at this point, but like there's only so far that you can take that while still delivering value and still being like a one person operation. And like I said, it's impossible for me to be truly fully present with my client and to provide as much value as possible if I'm also in this, like still selling at the same time while I'm building out like what I'm offering them as I'm offering it to them and as I'm delivering it to them. And then with all of that, like then renewal comes up and then you got to like figure that out on the fly. And you have to figure out all the check-in stuff on the fly and all the other like issues or problems that are inevitably going to rear their head. And that's not just with the business, But that's with like everything else in your life. Because again, like if you're too myopically focused on the business, then other parts of your life are going to fail. So like we saw that we ran up to a wall. I'm clearly not afraid to sell. I love selling. I love marketing, and I love like having those sales conversations. So like that's certainly not the issue here. The issue is I want to be able to tell somebody and show somebody very specifically what it is that I'm offering and have it dialed in so that I can say with 100% pure conviction and honesty and truth, it is a 6-month program that is like fleshed out start to finish, and it provides like the clearest value. Again, earlier this year, I was training people, and I know that I can deliver value for them, but like I was just like, based on their goals, I was just like, yeah, we could do this. And now I have 20 different clients with 20 different programs, and I'm making each of those programs like in real time every month as I'm delivering it to them. And I have to remember when their program is coming up. I have to remember what month of the program that they're in. I have to remember what we talked about last time on our check-in and what need to be, where like what the future holds, when their renewal is coming up. So now it's like I have all these things that I'm like managing and juggling because I didn't build the system out ahead of time. And that's how you scale, is you build a system out. So
and that's what you're doing now. You're working with I can't think of that.
I just keep like repeating myself
I know.
over and over again.
Well, because you are in this like
This is
cycle,
where
like
I'm
you
at.
like
Yeah,
are real time, like you are
I
in
know.
this cycle. And I'm like, pull out of it.
And like you can see,
real
like
time.
my mind's like my neural pathways are just going down the same pattern.
Same
over
slope,
and over
same
again.
slope.
By
same
the
slope.
way, this is what I'm talking about. Like I'm not saying that I'm not susceptible to having repeated thought patterns and I'm also not saying that I'm not susceptible to emotions. I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The key is noticing when it's happening. And I notice that I'm saying the same things over again. I'm getting in the same thought patterns over and over again. And I'm noticing that my emotions are going from really happy to when the hell is this going to pay off, like at a moment's notice.
And it's like happening like in
happens
this 40
in this
minutes that we've been
conversation.
sitting here.
The key is that I'm noticing it,
Yeah.
and the key is that I'm not letting it affect my actions. I'm staying the course on what I said I was fucking gonna do.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing, and you're working
My hands
with.
are like sweating.
Let me feel.
It's probably
my
like it's probably like the 4 coffees I drank today.
That's really sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
But you're.
Did 4 coffees. We walked for an hour and a half in the sun, and then I like was lifting like really, really heavy shit.
Yeah, you're
in
out in the sun lifting heavy
know.
weights. You're such a man. Oh God. Why not? Anyway, but you're working with. I can't think of what.
Shuri?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You're working with her, and like you were doing a call with her or voice memo to her yesterday, and you're like, I feel like, am I on like I'm behind on something? Like you're like concerned of like how she's like, why are you like taking your time with building this out? And it's like, I have to remind you, like, it is okay that you're taking your time to build out the product that you want to deliver.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be that coach, that person who says, well, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Like instead, you want to be the person that says, this is what I have. This is what I can provide you. Here's my value.
Yeah.
Now come to me.
And like that's another thing is I think people chase the market where they just want to deliver whatever people are looking for as opposed to delivering what you're good at and what you're best at and what you can like where you know your value is. That's what a purpose is. Like you shouldn't be chasing whatever like the market, what's hot in the market right now. If your purpose is to make money, which it isn't, just to be clear, nobody's purpose is to make money. You might think it is, but you're a dummy if you do. Your purpose is not to make money. Your purpose is to provide value and find out what value you provide. And if you're asking your potential prospects and clients what they want, well, if you asked me what I want and then you offered me money for it, I would go like, no, thank you. I want to know what you're good at. Yeah. I'm not going to just I'm going to hire you because I need what you offer. I want to know like what value can you provide me?
Because if you
and then I want you to convince me that I need it.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want.
Then sell me on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Present it to me what you have, what your value, what your purpose is. Because if like again, like the value and purpose are like very much like the same thing.
Yeah.
Because if like you love something, you're passionate about it. This is like I know what's in me to provide.
Yeah.
then like it's gonna be, of course, like the best thing because it's coming from here.
And coming from like the software
Yep.
world, that is like the absolute opposite of what I'm doing right now. It's literally like the antithesis and like the very thing that I'm saying I'm looking to avoid.
Yeah, describe that, because I mean, for people like I wasn't in tech and software,
Yeah.
like I don't know what that means.
So any of these like CEOs, they don't go, the CEO of like any of the companies that I worked for example, don't go, what am I good at? Okay, I'm going to make a software that does that thing. They go, where are the opportunities in the market? Where are the opportunities in the market that we can exploit? Essentially, they find a market, they come up with like a thing that's a problem that maybe is a problem, maybe it's not a problem, or maybe like that problem is solved and they're just pretending that they can solve it a different way. It's like, I'm not saying that none of these softwares have value. Some of them do. Some of them do. Few of them do. Most of them are bullshit. And they find a target market that has money to spend. They find a problem, real or fake, and then they say that they have a solution for it. And luckily with software, there's not a thing that you could just like hand over and go, look, it's right here. You can fake that 1,000 different ways. Like if you have a website and you have a demo, guess what? You have a product. And that's how most of these companies operate. So they don't even there's a reason why they call it vaporware. It's because it doesn't exist in most cases. Or it's like the absolute bare bones bullshit thing that then they hire an entire army of salespeople to go out and sling to the market.
Yeah.
So
the script. Close the
Exactly.
sale.
And again, I am guilty of having been in that for 11 years, 10 and a half years. So with that, what those companies do is, again, they have basically a fake product that doesn't really exist or is the bare bones. Absolutely, they call it the minimally viable product. They have a word for it, a minimally viable product that
the
people
MVP.
The MVP. Let's call it the MVP.
Oh my God.
They call it an MVP, a minimally viable product.
Do they not know what an MVP is? Like,
it's the
most valuable player.
Yeah, it should be the most valuable product. You should be putting out the most valuable product. MVP should be the most valuable product, not a minimally viable product.
Oh my God.
That's what they do. And then they go and they have people sell it, and then they allow people to buy it. A minimally viable product.
Yeah.
And they hire a ton of people to go out, cold call the market, sell people on the product. They get people on the product and they go, oh shit, now we actually need to deliver something. All right, here's the minimally viable product. Then everybody gets upset and they go, oh, well, now we need an entire army of people to like keep those clients with us and convince them that they're the ones that are wrong and that the product is fantastic. And
we'll work through the glitches with you. We'll help you.
That never happens. Like that's what they have, an army of people on the phone to answer the phone and go, hey, there's an issue? And the client goes, yeah, like this thing is like completely broken and doesn't work. And they just go, oh, well, that never happens. Well, let me put it into a black hole system that nobody will ever look at it again.
Is that customer success?
That's what customer success
So
does.
Like, it's not success.
It's
like
the
the whole
opposite
thing
of
is like,
success.
it's like based on a lie.
It's the entire thing is fake. And then on top of it,
That's so funny. I
then
never thought of it this way.
Yeah. And then on top of it, then they like shoot, like they have another army of renewals people to keep you on the product and convince you that for some reason next year is going to be different than the year that you just had.
You got more funding.
Yeah, whatever it is. But then the real genius of it all is all the backroom like finance board stuff where they can say that their company is worth X number of dollars based on projections in the future. It's never how much it's worth today. It's always based on projections in the future, based on whatever thing the CEO can convince the board of. And really what the board wants and what like the investors want, they just want to see that if the CEO can like provide a good enough presentation to them that they know that all this shit is bullshit.
Yeah.
The investors and the board and all those people, they know they're in on the secret. They know that this is all nonsense. They just want to know, can the CEO convince us that this is a good idea? Because if they convince us that it's a good idea, they can certainly convince possible employees that it's a good idea.
And that trickles down.
And if they can convince the employees that this is a needed thing, well, then they can convince the public and their market that it's a good idea. they know that it's a bad idea. They just go, how
So
good are you are
evil.
convincing people. So then what happens is you have this one product and maybe it works sort of or doesn't, but at least it gets people like on board and it gets people like into the system. And then the CEO or the the executive team has to go, okay, so this thing is about to fall apart, so we need to figure out the next thing. Okay, now we're going to have 2.0 or the next product or whatever. And then they spin up a whole separate entity for that other product or a whole new like a pricing structure or something else for this like new product that then they can tell the board, look, our Q4 earnings are going to be 10x because we have this product that 10x is the value for our clients. And the board goes, we don't believe it, but you've convinced us enough that you can convince your employees and you can convince the market. So sure, now we're worth $50 billion or whatever it is because it looks like that on a spreadsheet. And Mr. Finance, I know you're out there right now and I know that you're watching this and I know that you know exactly what I'm talking about. But then you can just essentially manipulate, and that's why I say that money is a man-made entity because it's all fake. It all can be manipulated. It can be manipulated in the minds of people. It can be manipulated on a spreadsheet. It can be manipulated in Salesforce. Yep.
And then it's manipulating the people.
And then you're manipulating people. You're manipulating everybody involved. That like this is worth more than it could ever possibly be. And it's because like you started with that sell first mentality, money mentality, revenue, profit, and you didn't get back to like what actually fucking matters, which is value.
Yep.
My goal is not value, or my goal is not revenue. My purpose is not revenue. My goal is not money. My purpose is not money. My purpose is to be of value. And if I am of value, then money will fucking be flowing to me for the rest of my life. Yeah. So I'm building something of value right now. That is what I'm doing.
And it's okay that you're taking your time with it because you're not making these decisions just to be like, oh, well, this I feel like this is right here, and what do people want? Like, no, like you know what you have, and like that's what you're providing. Yep. And so the conversations, it's all nice to have because it gets your brain going and thought-provoking conversations with these people, but you're still holding on to like what you know is right, and that's what's obviously the most important part of that.
If you're working for a software company, you have to ask yourself, am I actually providing value to the world? Am I providing value, or am I just like a leech? And there are some people out there that are actually providing value, and they're selling something of moderate value to other big corporations. And if you're selling something to like a big corporation and that's who you're taking money from, then like who the hell cares? Like enjoy. It's all like a big circle jerk anyway. Yeah. But like if you're selling something to like a mom and pop shop or to like an individual or to a smaller company, and you know that like what you're offering them is just simply not of value, and it's not going to, and like, you know, it's not going to work, and you're putting tickets into a system that you know is never going to get solved. And you're telling people that like they're the ones that are wrong, or that like they don't have the right expectations of like the product that they bought, that they were probably like essentially like bulldozed into purchasing on like an aggressive sales call. Like, I think you need to reevaluate your shit.
Yeah, I mean, I was having, as you were saying that, I was having that exact same thought. I was like, man, how are they sleeping at night?
Yep. You're selling a minimally viable product. Yeah. You are a minimally viable person.
Oh, God. Be of value.
Be of value. I am a most valuable person. I am a most valuable person. You are a minimally viable person. And that's why right now so many people are getting laid off. It's because the company is not providing the requisite value. They convinced how many people to come and join their company. Hire.
Yeah.
We need all these people. We need all these sales. Like, we're going to the moon. And then like what happens is like ultimately everything balances out, and the truth comes to light, and the company is incapable of supporting that many people, is incapable of supporting that many customers, and it's incapable of supporting the price tag that it's been asking, and then ultimately you get cut out. And we know too many people recently, like too many people in the last few months where that has been an issue, and like it fucking breaks my heart. And it's like, I understand that like you need to make money somehow, and like you gotta like get your experience. And again, I was doing it for 10 and a half years, but it's also like I could tell you this, like I was of value to those companies.
Yeah. I
was of value to those companies in an immense way, in a very immense way. I would not say I was of value to my client, to the clients though. Yeah. In that world, at least, which is why now I'm turning over a new leaf.
Yes, new leaf. Yeah, because you were deep in that world for sure, and so you can speak to it.
And I think everybody out there can see that I'm like really torn up by the fact that I was doing that for so long.
For sure.
And now I'm providing value. I'm all for value.
You're all for value for the people.
Yep.
But let's bring this into the coaching world.
Yeah.
Kind of as we're in it, we're meeting people, networking, seeing things, having conversations. Your thoughts?
Like I've said enough like mean things today, and obviously, like again,
Is it mean or is it just the truth?
It's the truth. It's the truth. Truth is love. Truth is love, and love is truth. So, like, if I'm being honest and I'm not saying anything I disagree with, then I am giving love. But maybe you could see that I'm obviously like in maybe a little bit of a darker place than I've been lately because it's coming out of me. But man, dude, like some of these coaches that like I follow that are in Austin, or that I see people following, or that people seem to have like some sort of like attraction toward, like it blows my mind, dude. Like being corny is one thing. Like that's one thing. I get it. Like
horny or corny?
Corny. Being corny is one thing. Being horny is a whole other thing. Being corny is one thing, and like I'm not gonna hate on, like, everybody's got their own like flavor that they like. But like going back to like what I was just saying, like there's a guy that I know who's a nice enough guy. Maybe he listens to this podcast. I don't know. And like if you do, then like take advice here, dude. But or maybe you'll see this in a clip. I don't know. But like what are you good at? If I see you on Instagram asking Instagram what they want from you as a product or what service they want, I'm not coming to you for anything.
Right.
I'm not, even if I want a service, I'm not coming to you for that, because clearly you're just looking to make $1.
Yep.
You're just looking for what people want so that you can go, okay, well, that's what I do now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
survey says this is what they want, so let me make a product out of it.
Yeah, like, and it's like, no, like, I want somebody who's good at the things that I need.
Yeah. Or that sometimes I don't even think I need. I'm like, oh, wow, like, okay, like, put a thought in my head, like, maybe I need to do some introspection. Yeah. Maybe that's something that I was calling me.
And if you do, like, the thing is, like, if you do what you are good at, like I said earlier, to your point, then you just have to convince me that I need that thing that you're good at. And you're going to have a much easier time if you're good at it. And I actually, like, if there's actually, like, a tie between what you're good at and what I need, like, if you can make that connection, then I'm far more likely to purchase it for you than if you just go, what do you want?
Yep.
And I go, I don't know, I want a blowjob right now. Okay, like $20 for a blowjob. I'm like,
yeah, you're a prostitute. You're drug prostitute.
You are a prostitute at that point. You're basically like, I mean, like, I'm sure there's some prostitutes that are fantastic, but like, like, it's just really, really strange to me. Like the idea that you would, by asking the public what they want and like publicly going out and like asking like the world, it just immediately makes me go like, dude, like I don't trust you to do anything for me.
Not at all.
It also just comes across as like very desperate, honestly, like very, very desperate. And then
phoniness.
Yeah, there's just like so much like fakeness and phoniness and like, I also just see guys who are like not in any kind of good shape at a particular gym on the east side that I'm probably going to be joining up here soon with. A particular gym on the east side, guys that are just not in good shape, like acting like they're like king alpha gorilla. And it's just like, dude, like, what is this? Like, you don't even have like a bicep vein.
I think you got a few in there.
I got actually, maybe not. When I walked in here, I definitely did. But like, it's very,
You'll
very.
show them what king gorilla is in a few weeks.
It's really strange that like people are like attracted to like the easy, like I don't even know why. I don't even know why. Like,
I think honestly it might be. Thought is just coming to me right now. Like maybe they see them and they're like, oh, like they look average. I think that's attainable.
Oh,
for
I'm just
me.
trying to become average. Sure, like that's what it is.
I think they connect with that.
Yeah.
Versus like someone who's like willing to be like, no, like you need to push yourself like hard.
Yeah.
Like life isn't easy. Like you need to dig down. You need to find like who you really are. I'm gonna hold up that mirror for you. If you don't want me to hold up that mirror for you, then I don't want to work with you.
Exactly.
And that's like your like.
And that's what it comes down to too. It's kind of like if you don't want the results and you don't want to do the work. Like everybody wants the results. Very few people want to do the work.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do the work, then like I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
If you want to do the work and you really, really are serious about attaining your goal, I will work with anybody. Like anybody that wants that, I will work with you. But I'm not going to work with you if you don't want to put the work in and if you just want to be average. That's not for me. So again, when it comes to like the product that I'm putting out, I'm putting a product out for people who want to become the absolute best version of themselves.
Exactly. I was going to make that point of like the word average. Like it's not like they are going to come out like looking like with your biceps or your shoulders. It's like what is like their version
ultimate.
of their ultimate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's when you have to figure out what that is first. And it doesn't. I'm not saying it has to be me.
No. Yeah.
Like
of course.
it's got to be whatever you want to become. And if you're willing to put the work in, then we can get you there. And again, it's like if you don't want that and you're okay with just like continuing with what you're doing and just feeling like maybe you're putting more work in than you were previously, then I don't want to work with you. So that's why like I'm not in sell mode. If I wanted to sell people and just like make a quick buck, I could close like 100 clients in the next 2 months if I wanted to, like easily. I don't want to do that. I want the right clients who are going to pay the right price for the right product that is my product that I am offering.
And to make them the person they were meant to be.
And make them the person they were meant to be. And help them figure out who the person they are meant to be. So yeah, like the coaching thing is weird. Like people aren't in good shape. People are... they don't even like really like aren't clear in articulating like what they want.
Yeah, what kind of
or
like,
what they
coach
do.
are you? Like, what are you doing?
They just are like general. Like that's why like I don't like the idea of like a life coach or being called a life coach or even being called an online coach. Like it disgusts me because it's like most of these people don't even know what they're doing and I don't see the results in you. So why would I come to you to get the results? And then like a lot of them just like flat out lie. Like just flat out lie about shit. And another story of a person who I know who's a nice enough guy, gregarious guy, and I don't know if he listens to the cast or if he's going to see a clip, but I'm going to say it. He did something that was really impressive. I said there's 3 guys in Austin that I'm like actually like they've done stuff where I'm like that is fucking cool. I also know that they're not on steroids or anything, or at least like I'm assuming that they're not on steroids or anything. And they're doing like physical things that are like wildly impressive to me. I'm not going to name them all right now. 2 of them I know all 3 of them personally. 2 of them seem to be really, really awesome guys, and I like them a lot, and I'm sticking by the fact that those are impressive dudes. This 3rd guy, he did something that I was like blown away by. I literally didn't even know how it was like possible. And I approached him. I was like, dude, I'm not saying that you didn't do this or that like I don't believe that you did, but what you did, like I don't even know how that's possible or how you did that. And I'm going to have to cut that. I just basically said, yeah, we're gonna cut here. I just basically said, like, yeah, okay, we're just cutting. We just had to. This is the only. We had to edit something. I'm just gonna tell you that I accidentally said too much. You can't make that face.
Okay.
We just had to cut. That was a second edit. This guy was saying how it was all mindset and it was all willpower and it was all like can-do attitude and just putting your mind to it.
It's all up here.
It's all for 20 minutes. He was telling us it's up here, 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 and then I don't even know how I can tell the story without like kind of giving some of it away. But he said he was fasting during this thing, which was part of what made it so impressive.
Yeah.
Actually, it was what made it so impressive was that he was fasting, and he said for 20 minutes that he didn't eat at all during this 7 days. And I said, yeah, I can understand not eating during the 7 days, but also what you did during that fast was absurd. I don't know how you were able to do it. And he's like, well, I didn't eat anything. Well, a little bit of caffeine. I had a little bit of caffeine, a little tea every day just to like get myself going. I was like, okay, that's reasonable. Like you can
Some people still fast with caffeine.
Some people fast with caffeine. Yeah. I could take that. I could accept that. Still an incredibly impressive feat. And he goes, and some Adderall. I was doing some Adderall as well. And
it's a meal suppressant.
It's a meal suppressant.
Like, that's why skinny bitches take it.
It's methamphetamine. It suppresses your appetite and it gives you an immense amount of energy.
And if you're not eating and that's all in your system, you're probably cracked out.
Yeah, no wonder you were able to like accomplish this. Like for a variety, like it made the fast easier and it made the feat easier.
Yeah.
And you were doing Adderall the entire week.
But
so
for 20 minutes, it's all in here.
Yeah, and we know my opinion on Adderall. So it's in like, yeah, but for 20 minutes he was telling me it was all in his head. Yeah, it is all in your head. Yeah. You have meth flowing through
you're cracked out.
Through your brain. So it was shocking.
I was shocked by that conversation. Like we left that conversation, went home, and then I woke up that morning and I was like, I was like, what a bunch of like bullshit he's putting out there. Like that got me hyped.
Yeah, I know. And then later that same
popping.
weekend, my buddy who did a Murph workout, it was because it was Memorial Day weekend, did a Murph workout, and I'm just like, if this guy watches this, he's gonna like very clearly know who I'm talking about, but it's all good. I really don't care because like it's like just
it's
crazy.
Truth.
Yeah, it is the truth. My buddy did a Murph workout. With a Murph workout, you're supposed to wear a weighted vest, and you're supposed to do it in a particular order. And he did, and then he said that there were some people that claimed to have done the Murph, but didn't do it in the right order, and some of them weren't even wearing the weight vest, and the same guy was one of the guys who did it like completely wrong, yet still posted on Instagram that he had done it.
I'm here, I'm doing it. Yeah. I'm here with everyone. Come
he was
love
like,
me.
He's like, what's your opinion on that guy? And I thought it was very interesting that like that same weekend was the weekend I heard, I was told the other story directly from the horse's mouth. So it's not speculation. It's from the guy's mouth. And like,
2 sets of ears heard this.
Yeah. And so all I'm going to say is like, be careful what you see on Instagram.
Instagram versus reality.
Instagram versus reality is a real thing. Be careful like who you're going to for coaching. Like ask somebody like, what are you good at? I don't care about what I want.
What are your deliverables?
Yeah, what are your deliverables? What can you offer? Like, or what do you offer? Like, what are you good at? What value do you bring? What is your purpose?
Yeah. What are you here
And
for?
also, like, if you look at a guy and the person doesn't look if we're talking about personal training in general, like if you're looking at a guy and the person doesn't seem to have the body that you want, like, or at least like a very in shape body, like somebody who's like lean and like ripped up can probably get you muscles. Somebody who's got muscles could probably get you lean and ripped up. But like if they look like an average Joe body, like they don't really work out all that hard, you shouldn't be going to them. If you're going to a life coach and the life coach doesn't have a life that you respect, doesn't have the life that they want, then like I wouldn't be going to that life coach.
It's like this is like, I'm probably a bad thing to say, but it's kind of also the truth. Like if you're going to a therapist who also goes to a therapist, that's like a little like.
Well, a lot of therapists go to therapists.
I have.
Therapy's a whole other thing that we could talk about. I have a lot of like complex thoughts on therapy in general. But
or another episode.
But you're not. It's kind of like if you're going to somebody to help you with something, they should very clearly have like be able to like show you the results that they've received for themselves. And I think what I'm showing here on this podcast is like it's the thing that makes it so interesting. And I was at the gym with a friend today, and we had this exact conversation. The thing I'm building out for my program, for like what I offer people, my purpose, I am living it all day, every day. Right now, I am living the very thing that is my purpose, which is helping people stay focused, stay grateful, stay on target, understand what their goal is, put an action plan in place, and not letting themselves get distracted. And that's in like all the goals that you have in your life. That's what I am doing right now. And I'm being really honest on this podcast, and I'm being vulnerable and saying that doesn't mean that my mind doesn't go crazy. That doesn't mean that your emotions don't go crazy. It means noticing it. It means noticing when I have the same repetitive thought pattern over and over again, which again, I'm doing right now. It's noticing when my mood is up 1 minute and then down another minute. And I'm like, my vibration is changing every half hour on the half hour. Like, it's a matter of noticing that so that you can go, I'm in a bad mood now. How can I fix it so I can bring it back up? I'm in a bad mood now. How do I fix it so I can bring it back up? I'm having that same repetitive thought pattern again. How do I break free of that and like move on and like get to the next thing so that I'm not just like dwelling on the same thought over and over again? That's what my program is, and I'm living it, and I'm presenting it to you as something that I'm not saying I don't feel that way. I do feel that way. I know a lot of people also feel that way, and I'm offering a solution to stay on track and do the right things, because I can promise you this, and I said it last week too, and I was talking about the physical attacks that I was having. You are your actions, right? Like, your thoughts and your emotions can be all over the place, but your actions are what are going to get you to your purpose and to your goals. And regardless of what my thoughts or my emotions do, my actions and my habits remain the same in direction of that purpose. Now, that's not to say, once again, that your goal can't change. You can change your goal, but you need to be really direct and honest with yourself and very clear and write down what your goals are, so at least you know when they're changing. And this way, you're just honing in more clearly on your goal, as opposed to having vastly different goals minute to minute, and you're never actually moving forward or accomplishing anything. So I think that kind of like ties everything back up in like a nice little, neat little bow of everything that we've talked about today. But like, I'm living my purpose, and as I'm putting it down and providing it to people.
And I think that's back to the point too that you made earlier of like, your like work and life is becoming like blended, because like you are living and breathing your purpose and what you're here to provide to people.
It's called alignment, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you're so like intertwined with it.
Yeah. And this is all part of it too.
Exactly.
And when I was talking to my buddy at the gym today, I said, like, the podcast is almost like proof. For me, I think I'm like proving to the world in some ways, like, the real story of what's happening here. Because just like I was saying, when it comes to these coaches who are like phonies and lying and this, that, and the other thing, like, I'm being really honest here. This is not like pre-scripted stuff or whatever. Like, this is what's happening today in our life. And I'm putting it down here, digitally for other people to watch, so that they can see that, like, again, like, I'm living it in real time. So this is also all, again, like, fully intertwined with everything that we're doing. And that's, again, it's called alignment. So
pretty cool.
It is fucking cool. It's
right?
really fucking cool.
It's so cool and beautiful, and just, it's magic.
It is.
It is.
And that kind of thing, when we kind of like talk through it like that over the course of an hour and 9 minutes, and the beauty of why, like, some therapy is good and reflection on your own thoughts and talking through things is good, is because when we have this kind of a conversation and I'm realizing that I'm living my purpose, I'm providing my purpose, and everything that I'm doing, including a podcast, is like in alignment with that purpose, that's where I get to like find that like full center and I go, okay, I am vibrating at a very high frequency right now. I am in full alignment. Everything is happening. Everything has happened in my favor. Everything is happening in my favor. Everything will happen in my favor. And like it helps bring you back to like that grounded sense of like, I'm exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Good stuff.
Very cool.
Any final thoughts on your end?
No. I like this episode. This is fun.
It was great. You had a psychedelic experience last weekend that we didn't get to, but let's focus on that next weekend.
Okay.
Let's talk about that a little bit. We actually have to make it. We have to do we have to make up an extra couple episodes here soon.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get one in this week, and maybe we'll do one about your psychedelic
My trip?
Trip, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
All right. Sweet. Well done.
Bye.
Peace.